My first year growing tomatoes from seed, and this is what most of them look like right now. I don't know if they will survive the overwatering. I spent several days trying to figure out what was going on with my seedlings, and I think I finally understand why they are dying. So stick around until the end because after making basically every mistake possible, I've put together a 5-step rescue plan that I'm going to do. But before anything, look at this. Look at the size difference between these seedlings. And I planted all of them at the exact same time, same day and same conditions. So by some miracles, those are surviving despite everything I've done wrong. But the majority of the others are really not doing well at all. And that size difference alone told me something was seriously wrong. So let's figure out what. Alright, let's start with the worst part. A few days ago, I lifted one of my pots to check underneath. And yeah, mold. White fluffy stuff all over the bottom. And when I moved the pot, little flies just flew out everywhere. It's called fungus gnats. And it's not exactly what you want to see when you've been carefully taking care of your plants for weeks. And I realized two things immediately. First, my pots were sitting flat on a tray. No airflow underneath and no proper drainage. Which means the water had nowhere to go. But that wasn't even the main problem, because the main problem was the soil I used. I should have used a lighter mix from the start, but instead I went with a basic universal potting soil, and it's incredibly dense and compact. And here is how I noticed something was seriously wrong. I pressed on the sides of the pot and it was rock hard, like an actual brick. And that's not normal at all. The roots are trapped in there. They can't move, they can't breathe, and they can't grow. Because when the soil is that compact, water doesn't drain. It just sits there and suffocates everything. So here is how I tried to fix it. I switched to a repotting mix and I add perlite directly into it from the start. These are the small white particles that help with drainage. It's still not as light as a proper seed starting mix, but it's already a big improvement over what I was using before. And there is also something I didn't think about at the beginning: light and temperature. Because if your seedlings don't have enough light or if it's too cold, the plant barely drinks any water. Which means even if you water just a little, the soil stays wet for days. Which makes the overwatering problem 10 times worse. But in my case, I don't think that's the issue. Because the room stayed around 18 to 20 degrees and they are getting at least 14 hours of light per day. So that's probably not what's making things worse for me. Mine have been stuck for weeks with no new leaves. And I'm already losing time because tomatoes need a long season. If you pull the plant out gently and the roots are still white, there is hope. But if it's brown and mushy, it means it's probably too late. Okay, so now let's see the 5-step rescue plan. Let's do this together. Step 1, get the plant out of the compact soil. Carefully and slowly. Try to feel the resistance when you pull it out. And in my case, it was really stuck in there. The soil had basically hardened around the roots. Step 2, inspect the roots. Right roots means the plant can still be saved. But if it's brown, soft, with mushy roots, it means that one is probably done. So be honest with yourself here. Step 3, repot into a repotting mix with perlite mixed in from the start. And don't use regular potting soil like I did. Instead, use something lighter that actually lets water move through it. And the difference in texture compared to the old stuff is already noticeable. That's what you want around your young roots. And something I just found out, this kind of mix straight from the bag is sometimes already slightly moist. Just enough for the roots without being soaked. So you don't need to water heavily after repotting. Just check that the mix feels slightly damp. Step 4, switch to bottom watering. Put the pot in a tray with a little water and let the soil absorb it from below. because when you water from the top, it can slightly compact the surface over time. And bottom watering helps keep the structure more stable and the roots healthy. And step 5, elevate the pots. Put them on a rack, a grid, or anything. Airflow underneath is not optional. And if you have a small fan nearby, it's even better, because it helps dry the surface and makes the stems stronger. And also it makes life harder for the fungus gnats. Will this work? Honestly, I have no idea. Some of these plants might already be too far gone, but the ones with right roots still have a real chance. Quick question for you, have you ever overwatered your seedlings? And did you manage to save them? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to see part 2, where I will show you if these tomatoes actually recovered or if they just ended up in the compost bin. See you there.